And welcome to the show, Zach from True North Arms. Welcome, Zach.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Awesome. So, tell us a little bit about just for our listeners and some of our viewers here. How did you get started with True North Arms?
A couple of years ago, friend of mine said to me, "Hey Zach, it's hard to get AR-15 parts, and I've got a source. Why don't we get into that?" And I looked, and indeed, it is hard to find AR-15 parts in Canada. And in general, as a occasional gun shopper, I found it's difficult to navigate online websites with gun shops in Canada. Although maybe that's improved over the last couple of years. So we got started in, I believe, April 28th, 2016. That's how we got started. And since then, we've grown a great store. There's about 1,500 SKUs. That means 1,500 unique products. We focus on the AR-15 parts, tools, and accessories. And then secondly, there's some SKS bits and pieces. And then thirdly, there's silly things like stickers and T-shirts that are just for fun.
Actually, I've got some of the RCMP guy stickers from you guys. I had to. I was looking for an excuse to make an order just to get the stickers.
Yeah, it's hard not to. And my philosophy with the store is just to make a store that I would want to shop at. So that's why we have silly things. And I made a very simple, I think, very simple website that's even easy to navigate and easy to find the things you want, and friendly service and so forth.
Yeah, totally. And your descriptions on the products are hilarious too. They're upfront, candid.
Yeah, well, good. I mean, that's just how we are, I guess. And we let our personality come through in the page so that people can see that we're real people.
Yeah, awesome. So AR parts, what kind of AR parts can you get there? By the way, I've bought from your store at least a couple of times, probably 2 or 3 at least. What kind of parts can you get there?
Well, I guess we started with the basics, lower parts kits and the individual parts that come out of that kit. Then we slowly got into, let's see, what else? We started with the Chinesium. I'll be frank, it's Chinesium, but it's great stuff. It's high value. We tested everything to make sure it was decent. So we started with that because it was cheap, low capital to get into, easy to buy it. If you want to start with name brand stuff, it's harder to get into the distributors. They won't necessarily sell to just anybody with a crappy little website. As we've come along, we've added a lot more name brands, a lot of American stuff, and obviously more variety of parts. So the barrels, receivers, a little bit of the control part, the lower receiver, and even some unusual tools like it's hard to find go-no-go gauges. So we've brought in go-no-go gauges. And for anyone who doesn't know, that's basically the gauge that you can drop it into the chamber and you close the bolt on it, and it'll tell you if your headspace is correct or not, or within spec.
Yeah, totally. I mean, for as many people that sell AR barrels and AR bolts, it's actually kind of hard to find a go-no gauge set. I mean, you could get one from Brownells, but then you got to ship it over, and you got to deal with the shipping, and you got to deal with the tax and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So by focusing on AR-15 parts as the primary thing, we've been able to go very deep into that and try to have a complete ecosystem. And we're not, of course, nothing is complete. We're always trying to add to it. And we have many more high-grade American name brands that we want to add into it. But we're growing all the time, and I've got just bins and bins of new products that have to be added onto the store. And
totally.
We think about, should we add Glocks? But no, you don't really have to, because we can go much deeper with AR parts, I think.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably one of the strengths you guys had when you were getting into the SLRs, because your SLR build page there, like how to build an SLR, is super complete, and it links to all this different stuff that you can buy right from your store there, right? So someone gets a receiver, and then they just like pick and choose the Legos that they need to bolt onto their rifle to complete it, right?
Good. I'm glad somebody read it. Nobody's ever told me they read it, so I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, you have your own website analytics, but super interesting, super, like I've built a couple of ARs, so I'm probably not the target demographic. You're probably aiming for someone who hasn't built an AR before and needs to know what parts and that kind of thing. But really interesting, and I think a really great way of providing some value on how to build an AR and some of the different parts you need to pick up to make one, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I didn't come into it with a grand strategy, but we just tried to respond to the questions that come in. And a lot of people are asking, hey, what do I need? What do I need? So instead of telling 10 different people 10 times, I'll make one website or one web page, one article to just lay all the questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, ARs are really fun. they're, they're really modular, really fun, fantastic platform. I'm glad to see the Mackie SLR out there, the WK180, and I think your like stores like yours are going to get more and more popular as people are looking for parts for those platforms out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the AR and the associated modular rifles that use the parts, it's what allows you to make the gun that's right for you. You can have the right barrel lengths, the hand guards, the shapes, the grips, the buttstock, everything. And there's a, I mean, there's a whole lot of people who just they want the gun that's for you, not a gun that you find off the rack, which is great. But if you want the one that's just right for you, then you build yourself.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, if I think about my AR, which is kind of sitting on the floor next to me, because I'm going to bring it up later in the show. There's no two parts on there, two major parts assemblies that are from the same manufacturer. It's literally pieced together from all the stuff I wanted on it. The Magpul, ACSL buttstock, the Troy forend, the trigger, the like everything is spec'd out just the stuff I wanted for the price or the features that I wanted, kind of thing, out of it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I got off you guys was an anti-walk trigger pin set, right? And that's one thing that, again, there's a lot of these little things. Like I could probably find those. I can't find it at Cabela's. I can't find it at most gun stores, like an anti-walk pin set. But you guys have them. You guys have more than a couple of them. You guys have a name brand one, a non-name brand one, and there's some variety. And that's also where I can get magazines and magazine couplers and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, as a shopper and somebody who gets into various like weird niches where there's a very specialized set of things you need for it. I know the pain of going to these big box stores and you just know when you're walking in, there's no way they have this weird thing that I need. But you ask and they're like, I don't even. The guy doesn't even know what it is. So I'm glad that we took the approach that we did and focused on AR-15 parts so that we could get right into the really little long tail. What do they call it? Long tail, or the very rare things that are. Not that we have them all yet, but when you specialize, you can go really deep and have things that are hard to find.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So tell us about this Shopify thing. So you guys are on this Shopify platform, Canadian e-commerce platform out there. We heard about an email that was going around to some gunshots. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So for those who may not know, Shopify is basically a all-in-one hosted e-commerce solution. So if one day you decide you want to sell green tennis shoes, and that you made in your basement or whatever your grandma made, you can go to Shopify and sign up and pay about $30 a month, and they'll give you a store. You'll be able to log into the back end, set up products, post photos. It's kind of like your own little mini eBay where you can charge whatever you want. They even have an integrated payment system called, I think they're using Stripe, and then basically within a matter of hours, you can have your own little web store and people can go to it and buy things for real. And then you ship them out and you're in business. So this is great. It was great for us at the time. We signed up not knowing if we would be successful. I was working a regular day job and we just did it kind of for fun, for beer money. Obviously it went beyond that. But at the time it was a great service to use because it's so cheap to get started and find out if you have a business. And I believe Shopify has in the range of hundreds of thousands of businesses that are on their platform. Obviously, there's a Pareto distribution where there's a large number of stores that are medium and small, and then a small number of very big stores that make it big. But probably the vast majority of their subscription fees are coming from these little stores. Anyway, I'm getting off track, but back on track. We stuck with them for the last, whatever it's been, 2.75 years. And recently they sent out an email, not directed at me, but it was just a mass mail. And it said, I'll look it up, but it basically said, we have a new terms of use, and this may affect your store. And then there was a link to a webpage that said, we're no longer going to allow certain products to be sold here. And then here's the list of products that are restricted. And the list of restricted products was a very strange laundry list of things like semi-auto firearms that can accept a magazine bigger than 10 rounds, which is odd because if a gun can take a magazine, I think it can take any size magazine. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're crafty enough. The one that got me was the pistol grips that could go on a pistol.
Yeah.
Like extra pistol, the front foregrip you could, and with a rail is any vert grip or any grip that goes on a pick rail, right? Oh,
Yeah.
that one was weird.
Yeah, so the list goes on and it says, we won't allow thumb hole stocks to be sold if they're for a semi-auto, but if they're not for a semi-auto, then it's fine.
Yeah.
It says we're not going to let you sell. What else? Obviously magazines bigger than 10 round capacity. Give me a moment. Let me just try to find it.
Yeah, it was a really bizarre list because it didn't match anything out there. It didn't match like the laws in any place. Maybe it'll match the law in California or something. I don't know. It was really weird.
I agree. Usually at least in my experience, when a company doesn't like guns, they just kind of ban everything and say, okay, no guns, no ammo, no tanks. No, thank you. We don't like to deal with that. But in this case, the way Shopify has written their rules, it looks like many firearms would still be allowed, such as I think pump action shotguns would be just fine. Like a bolt action 50 BMG that does not have a threaded barrel, because they say they don't like threaded barrels.
Yeah, that threaded barrel is really dangerous. Yep.
Yeah, that really hurts you. But if it doesn't have a threaded barrel, it just tickles.
Yeah, really odd list. Which, but it's big enough that it will, like any gun store or accessory store, will definitely be hit with this thing.
Yeah, and it doesn't exactly say how it'll be enforced. So, to be clear, it doesn't say if your business sells this at all, you can't do it here. Although I think there was a part where it said if you do these activities outside of Shopify, they might also have a problem with that. But it appears as though if hypothetically my store was to come into compliance, I take these products off my store, then I could continue doing business with them. But as we've just discussed, that's probably going to be most of my business. So I couldn't possibly stay with this platform with these rules. And the other weird thing about it is they haven't specified how it'll be enforced. Like, are they going to check every 2 weeks on my store to, and look at all 1,000 of my products, and then what happens if they find one that violates the policy? Are they going to give me 5 days to remove it, or 2 months to remove it, or 6 months?
Or are they going to turf your store?
Yeah, or would they freeze it? Would they turf me? And when I first heard about it, I started getting worried. Am I going to lose all my customer and product data? So the first thing I did at 10 o'clock at night was I went into my store admin panel and I exported everything, my order history, all my product database, just everything, all my sales records and reports and things like, how many pins did you sell on Thursday, May 10th, all that stuff.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of information. It's a proprietary platform. So what are you going to do now? What's your next step?
Okay. Well, my store is in a unique situation because it just so happens that around 5 or 6 weeks ago, we entered a relationship with a developer to build us a new website.
Oh, so you guys are ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Yeah. I guess that's lucky us. And it's not quite ready to launch yet. We were tentatively looking at next week, but that may not work because of just my travel schedule. So, but it's still of a concern though, because I didn't know, are they going to pull the plug on me tomorrow if their search robot or search monkey finds a flash hider on my website? I don't know if I'll have any interruption of business, even if I do have a new website ready to go.
So are you going with Magento or WooCommerce or?
Yeah, we're using Magento because it is especially suited to dealing with the large number of products that we have. It's over 1,000 now, and I expect it to grow significantly.
Yeah, super customizable. Basically, your Swiss Army knife of e-commerce, and open source, right? So because it's open source, it's not like anyone can shut it down.
Exactly. Or the key is that it's self-hosted. So we pay a hosting company that nobody's probably ever heard of, and they will host our database and our code and everything. And and it's maybe it's not immune to the mob demanding that they stop us from selling guns, but it's probably a little more resistant because simply nobody, like, how would you even find out who hosts it? You'd have to really, you have to be rather technically minded to dig into it.
Yeah, and the web hosts have been dealing with activism for a longer period of time, and their rules are typically not hypocritical. They typically say, as long as it's legal, we leave it up. You guys have to throw a DMCA at us or something for us to take it down. So they have a policy for taking things down, and their normal MO is to leave everything up unless lawfully obliged not to.
Right, and that sounds like a good policy. It was the other thing that was weird about the Shopify policy is, that Toby, the CEO of the company, went on record last year when people complained about them allowing Breitbart to sell T-shirts and things on their website. Toby said, "No, we don't want to restrict speech. We believe commerce and selling products is a form of speech and expression, and it's not really our place to decide what's right or what's wrong." So they allowed that, and I gave them a lot of respect for that. It seems like kind of a reversal now to say that forward pistol grips are not allowed.
Yeah, it's total hypocrisy. I mean, I've actually got the quote like right here. He said, "We don't like Breitbart, but products are free speech and we are pro-free speech. This means protecting the rights of organizations to use our platform, even if they're unpopular or if we disagree with their premise, as long as they're within the law." So for them to do this is like really hypocritical.
Yeah, I suppose their views might evolve over time. But I think they're going to find themselves in a very sticky situation where now they have to review all the products that are being sold and decide, is this something that's potentially harmful? Because the reason he gave is that we don't want to allow products to be sold on our platform that will be used to harm other people. He just said to harm. So he didn't exactly say, he didn't delineate the border between what might harm and what would. And if that's going to be their standard, well, then there are many products that can potentially harm either the user or someone else. Whether it be unhealthy products or dangerous goods or even sporting goods or tools, things like that. So this road that they're going down may be very complex and difficult for them to navigate.
Yeah, and costly because they have to, whereas before it's like, if it's legal and no one's sending us a lawful request to stop, we don't stop it. Now they have to pay people to police their platform and kick paying customers off.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose some of the enforcement may be due to people snitching on it. They have a snitch line that comes right off of their policy page. And I believe that's how Facebook does it. So we used to have a Facebook page, but I closed it down because I didn't really want to invest in Facebook, knowing that their policy officially says you cannot really have a firearms business promoting on there. And I know many other businesses do, and they're probably going to get away with it for a long time. But at least what I've been told by it was one of these Facebook advertising experts. He said, it's just a matter of time before all somebody has to do is report you, and then your whole site can be nuked. So I think the same might be the case with Shopify. You could maybe continue to operate on Shopify. I'm not aware of anyone who's actually been nuked other than a couple of high-profile stores like Spike's Tactical and Cody Wilson's DefCAD. But nevertheless, if we did continue to operate, or many of the other stores in Canada and the USA that are running on them, then they would be constantly at threat of getting shut down or getting issued a shutdown notice, and the inconvenience that would come with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like they probably are making so much money that they have the luxury of choice. If all the firearms businesses go to another platform, and that platform starts making money from this niche, they might not have those same views, right? If everyone were to move to one of the platforms out there like WooCommerce or something like that was paid, or even Magento, if there was a paid version of that, they would get to a point where like, no, we make it a tidy little amount of money from firearms businesses, and that's our customer, right? So we could get to a point where we end up with an e-commerce platform that likes us and appreciates us, right?
Yeah, that's true. Although the danger there is if it becomes known that this is a firearms friendly platform, everybody goes there, and then soon, maybe 5 years from now, they have different management, or just they change their views, and then maybe they decide they want to boot everybody off. So
maybe
anything can really happen.
Yeah, anything can happen, but that's why there's open source stuff out there and other options. So, I mean, this isn't just you that this is impacting. I've actually got a list here. This is impacting Eagle Hunting Supplies, S&J Hardware, CTC, TSE, Select Shooting Supplies, Durham Outdoors, Spectre Ballistics, Magdump, Alflarities, Rangeview Sports, Red Deer Shooting Center, Canada Gunworks, and Calgary Shooting Center. It's impacting a lot of different businesses out there. What would you estimate these guys have to pay for redevelopment of all these websites?
It's difficult to say. It would depend on how many products they have and how complex their store is. If they have a fairly vanilla setup where it's just a list of products photos, prices, and no customization at all, then they can probably get some kind of a digital tool that will allow them to migrate to a new store. And there are many individual consultants and developers who are, I mean, they've been emailing me, they've been posting on GunNuts. They're saying, hey, we see you're getting kicked off Shopify. I'll help you get to a new platform. So it may not cost that much, only, you know, a couple $1,000s. If you just have a very basic website with no customization, you're going to, you know, just pull out your products and drop it into another template and keep going. For a store with a lot of customization or fancy functionality, maybe they have a wholesale or distribution channel to their store that goes along in parallel. Something like that, you know, the sky's the limit. It would probably cost, again, the same amount, whatever they've invested into Shopify, and then do that again in a different platform.
Yeah, exactly. My day job during the day is building websites and doing SEO. So yeah, I mean, like a real complicated e-commerce website, you're looking at $100,000, $200,000 more if you want to like do some fancy integration with an ERP or something like that. So this is going to be very costly for the Canadian. This is the unfortunate part. There's so many Canadian businesses that are going to be hurt by this platform, this policy change, and it's a Canadian company that's doing it. They are hurting so many different businesses by kicking them off the platform. And it's a proprietary platform. Like, people do it because it's a great platform. It does a lot of the great things that are kind of built in. The checkout process, you can't mess up. There's a lot of stuff in there that's really great. But boy, this should really, if you're on Shopify right now and you have a product that like does not meet with their moral code, look out, because this is a shot across the bow for everyone else out there. What if you sell knives? What if you sell, I don't know, like medicine or something like that, right? This is all possible to end up biting you and causing your investment in the platform to be obliterated, right?
Mm-hmm. And a couple of interesting notes about that. One is in Canada, because businesses, my perception is they're generally smaller. They have a smaller market to work with, so they don't have quite the economies of scale that you might in the USA to spend a lot of money on development. So Shopify, being this very simple and easy to use and inexpensive platform, was probably a haven for Canadian businesses, especially gun businesses that are, you know, they have other challenges to deal with, like high capital costs. So it could potentially hurt them, you know, worse than it might have otherwise. If we were in the USA, where there's a lot more competition and, you know, bigger stores, it might be easier. That's maybe speculative on my part. But another interesting thing, I literally just got an email from Shopify on this very topic. Let me read it to you.
Oh.
But we recently wrote to you to notify you of changes to our acceptable use policy to restrict the sale of certain firearms and certain parts. For impacted merchants with active stores on the Shopify platform prior to August 13th. So in other words, if you're not a new store that's opening up, you know, just now, you will have until December 31st, 2008 to bring your account into compliance. And then accounts not in compliance after December 31st will be suspended. So that's probably going to be a relief to me, myself, and many other stores, because you've got at least, 4 and a bit months to, yeah,
3.5 months, which is enough time to do an okay e-commerce website out there. So, yeah, that's good news. You heard it here first, folks. December.
Yeah, that came out when literally just 10 minutes ago.
Oh wow. Okay, good. Yeah. Well, that is reasonable. I mean, the policy isn't reasonable, but the timeline's reasonable.
Yeah, the policy is quite weird, but I'm glad that they've been generous. Well, I mean, some people might disagree with me about the generous timeline, but in my case, giving until December 31st is plenty of time for me to get it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I mean, that sucks, but sounds like you've already got a plan to get off onto another platform out there. Why don't we put the Shopify conversation on the side? What else are you up to right now?
Oh, let's see. Yeah. So next week I'm going to the Conservative Party convention in Halifax. Now, normally I'm not really a political guy. I don't particularly enjoy talking to people in politics or getting into it, but just I'm compelled to do it because I feel there are certain things that I need to express, and I feel like going to the getting involved is just one way to do that. So the reason I'm going to the convention is because I've put in a policy proposal that the party at this convention is going to consider putting into its platform. So if you're not familiar, the Conservative Party and probably the other parties have maybe a 100-page PDF document where they outline all of their principles and specific policy positions. Like, in general, we support self-governance and we believe in the rule of law and the charter. And then they get to really specific things like they might say we believe in enforcing the third country agreement as far as people irregularly crossing the border. And it can run from things that you might read and agree with right away, or you might read it and say, "Gee, I don't even know what that is. Is that's related to some kind of a specific issue that was 2 years ago and maybe doesn't even apply anymore?" But at least in theory, people at the grassroots level can have their voices heard by proposing a policy that they might want to document, or you can modify and change what's already in the document. So I've put in a motion that would add a new statement under the section would be called self-defense, and the state.
Zach, you're cutting in and out just a little bit right now. Just give it 1 second here.
Okay.
And then, okay, try again. Let's see how it goes now.
How are you doing? Test.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. So where was I? Basically, I've put in a motion to add a policy to the Conservative Party's platform, and the policy would say the Conservative Party supports Canadians' lawful use of self-defense to defend life, bodily integrity, and property. So why did I write this, or how did I come up with this? I came up with this a couple of years ago when they had their previous convention, although it didn't make it, using some help from people on web forums. Basically, I feel that this would be a principle that would distinguish the party from others because it directly derives from the concept of self-reliance and self-determination. Secondly, there's a lot of controversy in Canada about self-defense and is it really allowed or is it not allowed, and can we use guns or other weapons for it? Mm-hmm. So I thought this would allow the Conservative Party. Now, I'm no Conservative Party cheerleader. This is just the party that I feel gives me the best chance to express this idea. So this idea would give some clarity as to the party's position on it, and would stand in contrast to some people in other parties, and maybe even a couple in the Blue Party, that feel that self-defense is a like an obsolete concept, and that maybe the state should take care of it for you. Or that I mean, they don't even really have a position on it. Just there are some people who, when they hear the concept of self-defense, they just say, no, that's bad. That's like some kind of American thing, or that's violent, or cowboy idea. But no, I feel
you're supposed to call the cops instead of doing anything to defend your life or your property and that kind of thing. Yep.
Yeah, and we've seen a number of controversial cases where this has been the issue. Is Ian Thompson was a good one, and others. This is I guess that's what's going on with me. I'm going to go there and pitch this and see what people say. And why is it relevant to the Slamfire podcast? Well, there seems to be a rift in the firearms owning community. Some people say, yeah, guns should be allowed for self-defense, and that's a valid purpose. And then there are many others who say, oh, no, it's not. You just want to be a cowboy, and that's too dangerous. Or they just say that's not allowed here, and it never will be. They don't really see a potential for a change in the future. Mm-hmm. Or many people feel it's too controversial to bring that up, thinking that, well, if I say that guns are for self-defense or that concealed carry might be allowed, that's way too far, and people are just not going to allow that, so I won't even bring it up. Now my thoughts on that issue are that absolutely self-defense should be considered a primary purpose for owning a firearm. And I mean, going back in history, likely it was the case. And how does that apply today? Well, people are arguing for fewer or different firearm restrictions based on the fact that, for example, I use it for hunting. I use it for my hobby. It's just a sport. It's just for fun. And then you can bring out all kinds of statistics that show that people with a PAL don't, they commit very, very few crimes. And that's all true and that's all great. But it's very hard to win the argument for de-restriction or change of the law when you have, tragedies like what happened about a month ago when a fellow was walking down the street in Toronto just shooting people at random. So when faced with let some nice people have their hobby or try to stop a bad man from shooting people at random and they die and people are all very sad, I feel it's very hard to convince people just to take on the public safety risk or perceived risk of allowing people to have guns at their disposal.
Other people to have guns at their disposal, because this is rules for you kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, or some people honestly, sincerely feel that they themselves don't want to have one. They don't want anyone to have them, or maybe only the police should have them. There's variations. Whereas in contrast, if self-defense and perhaps the tools for self-defense was accepted as an avenue for you to exercise your right to your life and self-determination and security of your body and maybe third down the list to protect your property, then, well, I mean, how can it be considered reasonable to restrict your magazine capacity when you might be attacked by 3 people and you have to shoot 12 shots? Or how can it be reasonable to say that you cannot have a handgun with a barrel shorter than 4 point so many inches when those might be more ideal for carrying concealed and protecting yourself in public where you're most at risk? Or similarly, how can it be reasonable to say that you have to wait 28 or more days to get a firearms license when perhaps a woman may be stalked by a violent ex-boyfriend and she wishes to keep a firearm in the house to protect herself because he said he's going to come kill her and he's going to break down her door and so forth? Very
very compelling ideas here. I mean, if you buy a restricted firearm, they ask you every single time, is this for collecting or is this for target practice? And those are the 2 options.
Yeah, exactly. And the rumor is if you said self-defense, they would just say, "I'm sorry, sir, that's not a valid reason." And
well, I told them once I bought them because they were cheap, and they're like they made a point to tell me that was the wrong answer. I can't imagine what they would say if I said I've got an ex-boyfriend who's going to off me.
Yeah, well, that's part of the problem is that we've reversed the onus from the government or the state telling you why you may not have it. Now you have to tell them why you should have it, and I think that's wrong. I think they should have to give you a good reason, or a judge or some due process should be required to remove that right from you, because it's like I said, a firearm and other weapons are they're not always necessary, they're not always needed, but you don't necessarily know when they're going to be needed. And they are an ideal tool for self-defense. And our police forces and many other agencies know this, and that's why they carry them, because they're very effective for self-defense.
Yeah, they don't carry around just their baton or just the taser, right?
Yeah, or any weapon really, depending on the circumstances. Unfortunately, even a baton would be illegal for a person to carry in Canada or even possess in their home because of Section 88 of the Criminal Code. No weapons for a purpose dangerous to a public peace, and public doesn't necessarily mean in public. It could be anywhere.
Oh, our self-defense laws are real weird. What else we got? We've got no nunchucks because the 90s, because nunchucks were badass in the 90s. Therefore, we can't have them right now. You can imagine, like, if you were a criminal today and you could carry a weapon, what would you carry? Nunchucks? I don't think it would come into the play, but we've got these laws on the books because of weird stuff that went on in the 90s. No stare augs, because too many movies had those in them, and it was always the bad guy that had a stare aug.
Yeah, and that's why we don't have ninja gangs anymore.
Yeah. Well, they clearly stomped out our ninja gangs. Yeah, no shuriken wielding nunchaku street gangs on the streets these days.
Yeah. So, well, does that answer your question?
Policy in action. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I think we could talk even more here, but we're coming up on 40 minutes. Zach, it's been a real pleasure. Take some time, plug your stuff. Where can people go to buy the products from you?
Okay. Well, to anyone who's into AR-15 rifles and the whole platform, as well as modular rifles that accept AR-15 parts, our store at truenortharms.com tries to have a comprehensive selection of all the parts that might be needed for that kind of weapon, whether it's building, maintaining, repairing, or just modifying. And we sell even a few complete guns. So come in and check it out and read the descriptions and have a laugh and a giggle. And you can also
stickers on the way out.
Yeah, buy some stickers. And if you're not sure what you need, if it's going to be compatible or not, or if you're trying to come up with a build and you don't know what parts you need, you can email us and one of us are going to help you out and help you figure out what you need.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on, Zach. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Have a good one.
You do. That's a radio goodbye.
Hi, Zach.
Hey, Kelly's joined us too.
Yeah, I have. Sorry.
Awesome. So we're still live right now, but we're gonna cut to the rest of the show now, Zach. So if you could hang up, what I'll do is at the end of this, I will send you the podcast recording and the link to that, and you can share it not on Facebook, but on whatever other social platform you guys wanted to.
Okay.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks for coming on, Zach.
Yep. Thank you. Good day.
I met Zach at TACOM.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, definitely not just talking about the Shopify changes, but very interesting interview.
Oh, I'm gonna have to listen because I wasn't.
Yeah, you were at the doggy hospital.
I was at the doggy hospital.
All right.
I have to go back tomorrow
and
Monday.
Are you hosting today or am I?
No, not me.
Not you. Okay. Me.
Sorry. It says you. I know that you probably did. You do last week?
Huh? No, Trevor did. It's my turn then.
Your
Good.
turn.
Yeah, I got it.
I got next week.
Okay.
Accordingly, I don't know what we're doing.
Are you good to go now?
No. Yeah, I'm fine.
All right. I'm gonna just leave a nice long pause here so I can edit later, and I'm gonna just top up with a little bit of this Jameson that you purchased for me.
Yay!
One of our listeners is saying katana blades are where it's at. Yeah.
No.
Machine shop class was a Ninja Star Factory. Yeah, I remember doing that in machine shop too. Hello and welcome to Slam Fire Radio. This is episode 268 for August 16th, 2018. I'm one of your hosts, Adriel.
I'm another one of your hosts, Kelly.
And Trevor couldn't make it tonight because he's dead to me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very, very dead to me.
Yeah, you saw those pictures, did you?
I didn't see anything.
Okay.
And maybe he emailed the show. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. I'm not going to read anything. We're just going to keep going. He's dead.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. They didn't
All right.
check. Didn't
And
check. Even if I did, I would probably just accidentally delete it. I don't know.
I say do it. It's like hanging up on them anyway. So. Now we also have Brian, our temp, who I think we need a temp for our temp. What do you think?
A temp for a temp? Yeah.
Yeah, because he's not here either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're the most consistent host we have. You know that. You're awesome.
And I have to show up early.
Yeah, I
This is
know.
a little late for you guys.
Yeah, I know. Like it's really early for you. So yeah.
Yep. Anyways,
Thanks.
why don't we get onto the show here?
All right.
We did. Let's try that again. What we did with guns this week is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center, Canada's premier firearms retailer. They have the Magpul M-Lock bipods coming in soon in black and FDE, and they are coming up quick. They'll be right around 150, which for like a really good bipod is pretty good. So that'll be super interesting.
Just don't bring it to Maple Seed.
Yeah, don't bring a bipod to Maple Seed because they don't. It's cheating.
Yes, it is. You don't need one though, Adriel. You don't.
No, I don't need a bipod.
No,
I need a sling. I need a USGI sling.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, those help. Those help a
fix it
lot.
up. Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, did you want to talk about what you did this week in guns?
I did. Well, I haven't been here in like how long? 3 weeks?
You've been on the road. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So last time I was here, did I talk about buying the Timini trigger or not?
Yes, you said
Okay.
you bought it. I'm not sure if you had installed it yet or
Okay.
not.
So installed it. That was really easy. Just drop it in.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Then I went and took it out to Corey John's place. So Corey, we call it the Johnson Ranch, and we were able to shoot steel. And we went out to 300 meters. It was awesome. So we were able to just go out. I was able to try it out. I didn't really get that much time on it, but I was able to actually go and shoot it. It was 295. I lied. It wasn't 300 meters. It was 295 meters.
It matters when you're shooting 22.
Yes. So it was awesome. Thank you, Corey. I love you. Even though he says that I'm dead to him. I don't know. It has something to do with coffee. I don't know. Anyways, so we did that. It was awesome. And then I packed it up and brought it with me on our Maple Seed journey across the country. But before we get to that, I also wanted to talk about the new Safari Land holster that I got from my CZ, because the other holster that I bought from Trevor, I'm afraid that the CZ is going to just fall right out of it. So I was able to buy a new one that got shipped up. It got shipped up from the US by our friend Miss Stacy. So it was awesome. I still haven't used it yet because of the fact I haven't gotten to the range, because for the last week and a half, we've been doing a cross-country tour. So we put 10,000 kilometers on Kevin's Jeep. Towing a trailer. Anyways, so yeah, Project Maple Seed, we packed up the Project Maple Seed trailer and we headed out to Alberta, and we also hit Saskatchewan and Manitoba. What we did was I drove out to Meaford, which is about, it took me 5 hours on a Friday night. Stayed there on Friday night. Picked up Greg May, one of our instructors in training. We headed out at 4:30 in the morning and met up with Stacy along the way at Sault Ste. Marie. Yeah, she met us there, and then we traveled out to Alberta. So what we did was we traveled for 40 hours straight. We took turns sleeping and driving. So it was a pretty epic drive, and we were in the same clothes for 2 days. We were pretty stinky by the time we got to Civil Flats. Civil Flats is just outside of Calgary. Yeah. So the place that we were camping, it was this provincial park, Civil Falls or Flats Provincial Park. We thought it'd be great. It'd have showers, everything. No. So we were pretty stinky from the drive, and we continued to be stinky because there was no showers, no nothing, no running water. So it was awesome. We set up at the BTSA, which is the Buffalo Target Shooters Association, the next morning that we got there. And we set up for our Maple Seed event. It was awesome. I got to meet Jason Phelps and his family. The girls were fantastic, but I was really impressed with his wife as well. She had really limited shooting experience, and the gains she made at Maple Seed were really impressive, and she actually had a really good positive attitude as well. So it was fun. So it was really good to hang out with her and the girls, and I had a great time. That night, so that was the Monday. Yeah. So Monday, we hung out with Annika and Nolan from Matador Arms. We had dinner with them. It was really cool to meet Annika. I hadn't met her before. Everybody else had met her. I think Matthew hasn't, though. Anyways, and Nolan helped us out with getting into the BTSA range. So they're really nice people. I like them. So in their honor, I'm wearing their hat tonight. What else? We went in. So we were after BTSA. We were going to go up and see you in Edmonton or the Chaz range, but we took the scenic route. We went to Banff first and we hung out there. And then we did meet you, Adriel, up at Chaz, and we set up the night before. I got to work with Carson at the event. It's probably one of the best days I've ever had at a range. It was awesome. I just wanted, especially Adriel, you've been working a lot with him, and he's a really, really good shooter. He's also fun to hang out with. He has your sense of humor, so it was really good.
Warped.
It is a little warped, but he's a really cool kid to hang out with. I had so much fun with him. I try to he's 10, so he doesn't really have the strength to do the standing, and I tried a variety of things to keep him engaged and interested. So we had zombie targets like the zombie turkey. We did. He shot gophers, paper gophers targets, and what else? Oh, yeah, he did really well with shooting at the gopher so much that we broke the wire a few times. So, and you know what? I have to give you props for that because you were shooting right beside him and he'd shoot the wire and you were shooting an MQT and it didn't even phase you. So we use wire on the top of our target line to it's easy to add our backers to it. So
Yeah, so
anyways.
like for those of you who haven't been to one, they've got like wire that goes all across and they like hang the targets in between, like a whole pile of them. So you guys are ready to rock and roll. Like you don't need anything. It could be like an
Nope.
open field and you can be like, we're good.
Yep. That's essentially it. We're good. We can go and roll into we bring our trailer, we roll up and we open the trailer and everything comes out and we can set up target. It's awesome.
It's like a well-oiled machine. Like I was like, can I help with this or with that?
No.
I was like, nope, get out of our way. We are a machine. You are in the way right now.
Yeah, I was looking at the events on Eventbrite, how many we've had so far. It's 65. That's how many that we've had in the past. So if you haven't gotten it down pat by 65, well, you know what? There's no hope for you. So I think we have it pretty much. Yeah, we got to figure it out. So there's other ranges that we've gone to that have had their own target line that we've actually incorporated our stuff into as well. Like for example, Saskatoon, when we went there, that's what they had. It was probably Saskatoon was probably the easiest setup we've ever had as well. So anyways, I wanted to say thank you to Carson as well because he drew everybody pictures and as a little thank you, and he gave me mine and it said thank you for training me for 10 hours today.
Accurate. It's very accurate.
Yes, it's accurate, and it's true. He was on the line for 10 hours, so and that's awesome. And I do know that you were thinking about getting him into Maple Seed and maybe it'd help him with being interested in 3-gun. I think you are going to see him in 3-gun next year. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to take him out to the range and shoot more MQTs.
Yep.
He'll again, like you mentioned there, he'll need the upper body strength to shoot standing before he gets into that. But prone, he was hitting the target.
Prone, he's awesome. But you know what he liked the most? He likes seated most.
Yeah, he definitely likes seated there. Maybe it's like more comfortable. Right? Yeah,
he's comfortable, but he's more bendy, more flexible, and he can see the target a little easier, I think. So we switched it. So originally you brought the Marlin for him, right?
Yep.
And we switched that out because the length of pull on it was too long. So what we did was we had a youth stock. It had the collapsible buttstock on it. So we had a 10-22 with a short barrel, and we switched that out for it, and it fit him perfectly. He can hit anything. He was awesome. So I really wanted to say thank you for that, by the way, allowing me to work with him. And also
now I've got a red dot on it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Yeah, just for like ease of use, right? Because one of the things we might do, it's a little bit late this year, but next year I would really like to take him out gopher hunting because by his age, I like at 10 years old, I would have a 22 and a pocket full of rounds, and I would be out in my grandpa's farm shooting gophers on my own. So, yeah, so I don't like. I'm probably not going to expect that from him, but I would really like if he could come with me and do it once or twice or more if he likes, right? Because
he was shooting paper ones, and he was doing pretty good. So, I think he's ready. What else? Oh, we traveled to Saskatoon. So we wrapped up at Chaz, and then we went out to your place. And by the way, I appreciate it because we were able to have showers at your place. Like those were.
You guys' expectations are very low here. It's like woo!
Showers.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Hence.
Yeah. And we also had AC in the room, so thank you. Appreciate that. It was good too. And
for people from Ontario, that probably sounds really weird, but in Alberta, people do not have AC. It is like
Yeah.
if you have a new home, some of the new homes come with AC. But if you have like a home that's like more than 10 years old, it's very rare for you to have AC because we only have like a week or two when you actually need to run it.
Right. And it's so dry
Mhm.
compared to in Ontario, where it's like anybody with curly hair is worst nightmare. So mine, I wear a hat, right? Anyways, so I appreciate the AC because it was hot. It was in the upper
It was
30s.
pretty hot. Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of smoky from
Yeah.
the BC wildfire.
Yeah. It
Yep.
was smoky. We thought that the wildfires were in Alberta, but no, they were in BC. I'm going, holy crap.
Yep.
All right. So we finished up with you with Chaz, but we went back to your place. And then the next morning, we set off for Saskatoon. So we got to Saskatoon. I think we got there about 5 or 6. We set up so we were at the Saskatoon Wildlife Federation range. By the way, that's the most amazing range ever.
Isn't it sweet?
Oh, it's like, and Kevin would say it's like they have raptor gates and everything. And it was I'm going, what? That's true. Everything's electronic, the gates. Anyways, it's a beautiful facility. And that's where you had Prairie Fire this year, right? But you
And
didn't
last
go.
year. Yeah.
And last year was there too?
Yeah, I was there last year for Prairie
Yeah.
Fire.
It is a beautiful range. Anyways, it was probably the easiest setup as well for our maple seed. So it took us like 5 minutes to set up, and that was it. So once we were done that, we went and we stayed in this RV park. This isn't really guns, but I have to talk about it. Anyways, we stayed in this RV park that was right beside the highway. So all the trucks, like the Trans-Canada Highway, we heard those all night. And we also got to hang out with all of our IITs as well. They came over, they practiced some of their points of instruction. It was awesome. We had ordered pizza, got it delivered. We didn't have showers because of the fact that they were even grosser than, I don't know. They were pretty gross. Anyways, so
this sounds like horrible.
It was
you guys got 20, like what?
It
2 good showers on the whole trip?
Yeah. So it was $26, and there's a reason why it was only $26. It was horrible. Anyways, so they're not getting any good ratings from me. So the next day we went to Saskatoon. It was incredibly hot. It was 38 degrees. It was sunny. Everybody rocked it though. There's some really, really good people. And by the way, every time that we went to one of these events, there were people that listen to the show or watch the show. Depends on what it is. And so I was giving out swag to everybody, and they all really, really appreciated it. So anyways, yeah, I'm in the shout outs. I'm going to list them all. All right. So when we were done at Saskatoon, what we did was we packed everything up into the trailer and we got out of there. And the reason that we got out of there, we'll have dinner with our ITs, we'll decompress and different things like that. But we didn't. We got it right on the road because of the fact that we had to get to Winnipeg because we had another shoot the next morning in Winnipeg. So 9 hours drive to Winnipeg, by the way. So
Greg's just mentioning in the YouTube comments here, you're not really selling the whole life of a maple seed instructor thing, Kelly.
Greg, gotta admit, it was epic though, right? It was epic. We got in the car, we drove for 9 hours. We arrived at 4:30 in the morning at the range. We didn't set up a place to stay or anything because of the fact that we knew that we'd be driving overnight. So we parked in the parking lot, and as I said, we arrived at 4:30. At 6 a.m., the guy that was meeting us for the range was set up, met us. So we got an hour and a half sleep. And then we did our event in Winnipeg, and it was probably the best event we've ever had. Anyways, just saying.
Now, was it the best event because it was the best event, or the best because you were so sleep deprived that you're like, oh, wow, everything's awesome?
Yeah, that's it. No, it's really, really good. It was fun. We had a great time. And I think that's probably because of it too. We were a little sleep deprived. We were a little punch drunk. So, but it was fun. The guy that helped set us up at the range and also was our range contact, he was a pretty amazing guy, Brendan. And he stuck around for the whole entire day because of the fact that there was only Stacy, myself, and Greg. I was running the line or did that for most of the day. Stacy was a shoot boss and Greg was our RSO. So Brendan, he actually helped us out with RSOing. He just put himself right in there. And he also brought us coffee and muffins, and he was a really, really great guy. We gave him some prizes or some gifts and that to say thank you.
Hey, at Chaz, we brought two people brought.
I know.
Big 12
You know
coffee.
what? We were ranking you guys. Chaz was a close. Chaz and Winnipeg. Well, actually, Saskatoon. So it was. Well, anyways, they were all really good ranges. But you know what? Chaz did bring us coffee as well, so it was awesome. Yeah, and donuts too. So, so we did the event in Winnipeg. Great time. As I said, we had some real hardcore listeners there too. But once we were done in Winnipeg, it was kind of like, oh my God, we're all done. Now what? So we went into Winnipeg and we booked, we went into a hotel, got a really, really good deal, like $100 off for the night at the room. Anyways, so we all had showers at that point. It was like the best shower we've ever had in our entire life. And then we went out to dinner. We went out to dinner with some of the participants from the Maple Seed Shoots, some of the fans from the show, because guess what? There's somebody else in Winnipeg at the same time. Trevor had made it to town because of the IPSC Nationals. So we were bugging him saying, let's go out to dinner. Let's go and have a pub night. So we went and picked him up and we went to a place, King's Head. Yeah, King's Head on King, and had a really, really good dinner, some drinks. By the way, there's this new stuff called ginger cider. It's my new favorite drink. Yeah. Anyways, it's going to replace, I think, for Trevor, ginger beer. Anyways, just saying. And that's it for events. We got up at 9 o'clock the next morning and we made the journey back home, started the journey back home. So it was 8:30. We left Winnipeg and I arrived in my house at 6 p.m. the next day. So again.
And then you went immediately to work?
Yeah, well, I arrived at home at 6 p.m., got my stuff put away, put some laundry on. I went to bed at 11, 12 o'clock at night and got up and went to work the next day. I did not want to go to work.
Brutal.
Yeah. But it was, as Greg's not saying I'm not really selling it, but it was really, really fun. And we had a really, really good time from the point of view of there was lots of, downtime. We could talk about different things. And I think that by the time we were done with it, we had people, like we had a couple of IITs that went and did the whole entire trip with us. So Ryan B. Tamps was one of them, and he started off with not doing an event at all, has never done one. And then by the end of it, he was calling the line and he was doing more advanced points of instruction as well. And then our go-to guy, Greg, who's been to many events, almost all of them. He rocked it. Like he was calling the line. He was pretty much able to do all of the points of instruction. So we know that what we do know is that we're the people that were at the events for instructors. We're going to leave those different provinces, whether it's Alberta, Saskatchewan, or Manitoba, in really, really good hands with those people. And we were able to actually bring on board a few new instructors as well. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very happy about that. So yeah, that's me. That's everything that I did, kind of, I think. I lost my mind because I went
across the country.
10,000, did I say? Yeah, 10,000 kilometers. On the nose, basically.
You guys should have rented a car. It would be cheaper to rent a car and put the miles on it and put it on yours.
Anyway, as soon as I got home, I had to give the Jeep so the day before we left, the Jeep got an oil change. The day that we came back, Jeep got an oil change and it was 5,000 kilometers over the 5,000 mark. So 10,000 right on the nose.
Well, if you put synthetic in it, it'll do 10. Anyways.
Yeah. Yep.
That's not good
stuff.
So
that's me. Hey, Adriel, what about you?
Oh, yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, that stuff and more. Let's see. I think I mentioned the Maple Seed because that was on the Wednesday and Slamfire was on the Thursday. So I definitely talked about Maple Seed last time. Definitely talked about that bit, getting the instructor in training and getting on with you guys there. Let's see. I shot a 3-gun on Saturday. I DQ'd. And my Glock.
What happened?
I was shooting from inside a car. I got out. I dumped my rifle. I went and did some shotgun stuff. And as I was running back to dump my shotgun and go to my pistol was sitting on the ground.
Oops.
It was unloaded, but it's still a disqualification, and I was fine with it. You know what? Like, I saw it, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to be your RO for the rest of the day. And it's funny, I can't find that holster anymore. It disappeared. It's gone. Yeah. So I'll need another Glock holster, or maybe I'll go to my Shadow 2 and just start running it. But my Glock holster is MIA now. Weird. Yeah, but I RO'd for the rest of the match. It was a fantastic match. Our ROs are designing such creative stages, such good stages. They are not mailing it in when it comes to stage design. I think if you were to see a video of one of our stages, any one of our stages, you'd be like, wow, that's a little bit weird. That's a little bit unique. And when you put them all together, you're like, oh, this is a monthly match? What are you guys doing? We had let's see, a shotgun, which is like, okay, it's shotgun. It's just shotgun. It's a field. There's nothing. There's no features. You had to climb a roof, go underneath a limbo ladder thing. Not actually limbo on it, but go under it.
I was wondering.
And then shoot from a balance beam for the whole thing. So that was interesting. That was actually something we lifted from the BC shoot. The 25 had it was a day at the arcade. There were ducks you had to shoot, like cardboard ducks with your rifle. There was Connect 4. There was bowling. So we had a bunch of clays in like a bowling pattern, and you had to only fire 3 balls at the clays, and any more shots would be a procedural, right? So you had to basically back up and let your pattern do the work. There was a couple other ones on that stage. The next stage after that, we had a lawn tractor that was working as a bush winch to pull. You were sitting on a wagon, which had a 3-gun sled on it, and you were being pulled backward. And as you were being pulled backward, you could see targets like appearing to your right and left, and you have to shoot them with the right firearm, and then dump your firearm and go to the next one. So that was crazy. And then the 100 was crazy. And then my long range stage with a car, a guy, like a little cardboard guy you had to shoot through a car, and then some long range targets out to 300 meters, was the tamest stage by far. And that just goes to show like how weird and creative the guys are getting with the stage designs that we're doing at Chaz now. So
they're getting fun.
Yeah. They're almost like they're trying to one up each other.
Yeah.
And as you can tell, because it's getting real weird and really creative. It's not a standard 3-gun match by any means, and I like it.
Fun.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Well, one of the premier 3-gun matches in the States is called Hard as Hell, and it's something that actually last week Ken Nelson was the match director for, and they have a bunch of weird stuff going on. They have like one of the I can't remember if it was that one. Some of the 3-gun matches in the States. So keep in mind, 3-gun is not IPSC. It's very different. The mentality of it is that they're going to do some real weird stuff. Some of it is like stuff you've never done before. In IPSC, they have like a lot of like shooters and movers and that kind of thing.
Yep.
But they would never put you on a roller coaster that was like homemade. They would never put you on a zip line and make you fire as you're going down a zip line. But they would do that in 3-gun. That's very normal, and that's kind of cool. Yeah. Those would be features that would fit right in with a 3-gun.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When are you getting the Bucking Bronco?
It'll have to be next year. The next match, the stage that I'm going to be helping on is going to have, those platforms that vibrate that like you're supposed to like lose weight from vibration.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's going to be a tank, and you're going to be firing from it. You're going to be trying to fire a rifle from a vibrating like tank. So Bucking Bronco is coming soon, but we're going to do that one first. And that's one of the stages, and the other ones are weird and creative as well. So super interesting stuff. Definitely stuff that I like to see, because I appreciate the skill and the ability to do 3-gun, to draw the different firearms, to use them to their best ability. The complexity of shooting a stage that has all 3 firearms and different targets of that you need to shoot with different firearms. But I also appreciate these little twists that make for really unique shoots and really unique stage designs. Okay, that was Saturday.
Yep.
Sunday was our historical shoot. So this was something that it was kind of like one of my pet projects. I wanted to have something that was like a 3-gun, but someone with like nothing could shoot it. So I was imagining what I started out with. I started out with an SKS and a Nork 45. So I said, okay, well, maybe it's a historical shoot. Maybe we'll give people points for shooting old stuff, and that was the historical 2-gun. So no shotgun, because as soon as you introduce a shotgun, you need shot shell carriers, and it is a huge advantage to have the dual and the quad loads for shot shells. So there's just 2-gun, just pistol rifle. And you got extra points for using an older gun. But if you didn't want to compete in that division, you could compete modern and shoot whatever the heck you wanted to, right? So we did that. It rained the whole time. It rained the whole time. But it was still really, really interesting, because you saw what different people tried to do to game it, or to go like real authentic and original. So some people had like the original M1 Garand bandoliers, and some people had like I had one of these as well, the Chinese chest rig for the stripper clips for the SKS, and some people had like number 5 Enfield jungle carbines out there, and all sorts of crazy stuff that you wouldn't normally compete with, and and it was really interesting to see people competing with it and being like, fighting with, a firearm from World War One. Work. Why want to feed? Yeah, and it was interesting also to see the difference between modern and semi-automatic historical, because they trounced us so badly. If you shot like an AR-15 and a regular pistol, you would like beat the guy with the SKS like so bad. The time difference was incredible. But anyways, really cool shoot. Something that I really wanted to do next year. I think I'll cut the pistol out and just do the rifle, because while the pistol was interesting, it wasn't different enough. Shooting the historical rifles was like way different. It was like so different. So I think next year I might do like a Red October kind of thing. World War I, World War II rifles, all rifle targets. Oh, it was so fun. It was so fun using iron sights on an old SKS or a Mosin or something like that, shooting paper and shooting like really weird arrays and that kind of thing. We're definitely like, that was definitely the for me, the unique part of the match.
Right. How many people participated?
We didn't have it was raining the whole day, so we only had 20 people come out.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still not bad, and everybody had fun, right?
And we had some new people who hadn't shot 3-gun or 2-gun before, so this was like an intro for them to competitive shooting. And I think they had fun and didn't use a lot of money, because SKS ammo is so cheap.
And I'm sure that other people will use their guns too, right?
Oh yeah, my 1911 was used by 3 other people.
Awesome.
And my SKS was used by 1 other person. And I think everyone else had like a historical like rifle. The rifle part was easy. Everyone's got an SKS or a Mosin or a P14 or a 303 or something like that. So everyone's got that part. It was the pistol that fewer people had. So to make it more inclusive and to focus on that historical rifle aspect next year, I think would be really interesting. Let's see here.
I think so too.
Yeah, it like loading stripper clips on the move was like so hard.
All right, I have a question for you. Are you going to handicap people? So if people have something that's a little bit more modern, you're going to handicap them so that the people that are shooting.
I did. So the scoring system I used was years of the design
that's right.
of date minus your stage times, and that would give you a points at the end, right? So one of the guys who won historical bolt didn't get the fastest time, but they were running a P14, which is like a really old design, right? So we gave people a bonus for using like ever older firearms, and it was very cool. I think for the next one we'll just say like World War I, World War II, and call it a day. And maybe Cold War. I think Cold War would be fine as long as it's not an AR based thing, because for those you can get LAR mags and that kind of thing, and those are a huge advantage. Our reloading was super slow. One of the interesting things from running like a bolt action was it was actually a much better idea to just shoot alphas and then not have to reload as much, because reloading a Mosin from a 5-round stripper clip is a total pain in the butt and takes so long. With an AR-15, you double tap everything. You don't even think about it. But with a Mosin, it's like, no, take your time and aim for that shot.
Yeah.
Get your alphas and don't shoot twice on the target, because that costs way too much time.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. Got a 244 instead of a 243 on the MQT.
Yeah, you did.
Neat. Cool.
Yeah. So you know what that means?
No, I don't.
Further bragging rights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because 244, right? There's only 6 more points, and you did it with a bolt action too. So I think that your score is pretty safe.
Bolt action Norinco.
Yes. Bolt action Norinco, I thought. Did you bang it on the ground a little bit and spit on it beforehand?
I needed some lube. I just spit in the chamber. Oh, treat it dirty and call it names. All right.
Liked it. All right.
I set up the Marlin 795 with a red dot.
Yes.
So now it's wearing this Vortex red dot, and I'm gonna need to pad up the rear here, but I kind of like it. It's kind of interesting, and I'm gonna see whether or not.
Oops.
Banging everything here. I'm gonna see whether or not Carson can shoot this and hit the target more, because it should be easier, right? Just
with
a dot.
Red dot.
Yeah, it should be easier than a scope, because you don't have to deal with the eye relief.
Yep.
I've got cheek rest on the way in. So once I've got that and this, it should be good to go for practical kind of stuff, right?
Right.
You still won't get the accuracy, but
that would be awesome for Steel Challenge.
Oh yeah, it would be. Oh, there's a Steel Challenge in Calgary. Yeah. Yeah. I might just use this for that. I wonder if they have a youth division.
They probably do.
Something to think about. To think about.
Yeah, because you were there for the Charity Shoot Steel Challenge, right?
Yes, I've shot a Steel Challenge now. Yes, the rimfire rifles are very good.
Yes, they pretty much kicked anybody with
I need
pistols.
a compensator on that though now.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's not strictly required. It's just more of a gamer thing, really.
Yeah.
I am considering a pump 20 gauge or a pump 410 for my boy. Right now I've got a semi 20 that I've chopped the stock on, but the barrel is still 26 inches long, so it's huge and it's heavy on the front, and
that's bigger than he is.
Yeah. Mossberg makes a super bantam that has an adjustable length of pole stock and an 18.5-inch barrel. But Mossberg, here's the weird part, because I'm trying to use it for something that like it does not exist in their lexicon. It's like a super bantam, but also for 3-gun. It's like, well, no, you can't. Like, there are no extension tubes for this thing. You want an extension tube for a 410? It's like, no, we don't make them. So I don't know what to do for that. So
20. So what do they have for 20 that would fit him?
They've got the same thing. They got super bantam, and they got the same capacity.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fabrication? Just asking.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe I'll take them into Cabela's or something like that, and we'll take a look at one of those super bantams and see if it fits better, because while I chopped an inch off the length of pull of this other 20 gauge I have, it's still got a super long barrel, and that's I would pay $200 to have the barrel in that one cut and then tapped and whatnot, and then it's still a Pardus. So then what? What happens if it jams up and it breaks? Well, I'm out the extra $200, right? So I might just get that smaller one. If I can get one used, that'll be fantastic. So take a look around for a used super bantam in 20 gauge or 410 with chokes, because without chokes is crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I wanted to shamelessly plug that I have guns for very
All right.
much,
What are you
and
selling?
I need to move. All right, it's shameless plug.
Okay.
SAR. I know I wrote that. I don't even think that's right. It's the Filipino 1911s that
Okay.
Wolverine sells. I don't think it's SAR. I think it's something else. Anyways, I have one of their 1911s in 45 ACP. I have an XDM in 45 ACP, and I have a Savage 10 TR in an MDT stock. And there was something else that I'm not remembering. A Glock 17 Gen 3 also in my safe that I'm not using. I had the Glock 17 because I know Matthew was coming over here to teach that course, and I wanted to be able to have a pistol for him, and that's available. Trevor is joining in here. Trevor Dead to Me Furlot says that his Tang Foglio limited custom extreme 40 Smith & Wesson is for sale, 7 megs and a Blade Tech holster. Doesn't have a price there. Sam, yes, Andrew, thank you. It's a Sam 1911 in 45.
So I'm not selling any guns, by the way, everybody. So, I am actually. I am still gonna sell that BR99. Anyways.
There you go. If you're interested in one of the guns the hosts are selling, email us at slamfireradio@gmail.com.
Hi, Trevor.
And maybe we'll sell some guns. Yeah, why not? I need to make some room. I got to make some room because I'm talking now about a pump 20 or a pump 410 or something like that. It's like that safe needs room in it. I gotta clear some stuff out. So, and I kind of want one of those.
What?
Yeah. I want one of those AR-10s.
Oh,
the non-restricted one. Yep. The Stag Arms 10S.
Yeah.
I will have one. Okay.
All right.
Upcoming events. I like this, so I changed this over here. For 3-gun events across Canada, visit 3gun.ca. Done.
Yay.
For Maple Seed events, check out mapleseedrifleman.com.
Yay. We're going to be posting stuff soon, so.
I was talking to someone last week who was in the Hamilton region, and I'm like, oh, you should go to a Maple Seed. They're in your neck of the woods. This would be easy for you.
Hamilton, not so much, but we're working on it. So
close enough. Come on, how far of a drive is that?
Well, it's not 40 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're
for them to go to one of your events, right?
Hamilton is probably an hour and a half.
Big deal. No problem. Yeah. Cool. Well, why don't we go on to the main topic?
All right.
Thanks again, Zach from True North Arms. I got a couple of things that I wanted to talk about here. One of them was a Shopify thing. Zach kind of covered that.
Yep.
Another one was kind of from your neck of the woods, kind of. One of the an MPP introduced a private members bill to curb gun violence in Ontario, and their methodology for that is to allow cities to ban the sale of handgun ammunition.
Right. So you're allowed to own the gun, but you're not allowed to sell any ammo for it.
Or buy.
Right.
You can mail order it still.
Correct.
Which is where a lot of the deals happen anyways. You buy enough and you buy 1,000 and you get it shipped for free because you meet the minimum.
Right. The problem is, and so right now there's the chiefs of police that are meeting in Halifax, and even they agree right now. They've put out a statement saying that, you know what, banning guns is not going to work on what we're trying to combat. Yeah. So if you ban ammo sales, yeah. So it's not us that you're trying. Yeah, you guys. I'm preaching to the choir, right?
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir.
Right. So we're not the ones that are shooting people. So
it's just odd. It's just really odd because you need a PAL to buy ammunition.
Right.
You need to be a legal gun owner to buy ammunition. They have a problem with gangs and gang shootings. I don't think those guys have PALs. I don't think they have PALs to go buy ammo.
No, they don't. So
no.
And
if they eat, let's say they do. Okay, well, they can just mail order it.
Right.
They could drive out of the city to somewhere else to buy their ammo. I'd assume if they have the handgun, they got that illegally. They must have a way of getting ammo.
Yeah. Yeah. So
interesting. Yep.
Yeah. They're using some interesting things with respect to ammo as well, trying to make it fit into their.
It speaks to a lack of knowledge about the laws and what we have in Canada when they start spouting that kind of nonsense.
But what they're trying to do is they're trying to help. You know, the whole thing helping, not really.
Yeah.
They're not really helping, so they don't
not
understand it. So if they could be educated a little bit, maybe they could understand that if we do some other things, for example, like I don't know, social programs for youth in inner city, you know, that might actually curb the violence. I'm just saying.
Politicians don't need education to put together policy. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What kind of politicians have you been talking to?
I know, eh?
Evidence-based policy. No, that's just a catchphrase. They don't actually do that.
It's kind of interesting because I wonder who they're talking to. Because I believe wholeheartedly that they're not talking to the people who know what the hell they're talking about.
No, clearly.
Right? So they're talking to, and I do actually think that they're listening to people who have vested interest in it, like, for example, a women's group, same sort of makeup as the Citizens Advisory Committee, right? Those people don't understand what's going on, though, or where the gun violence is coming from. Same thing with the chiefs of police. They're actually starting to analyze it, and they're recognizing and realizing it's not what, you know, the politicians are you know, when we have an MP that has been put in charge of the guns and gangs, so you have a federal MP that's now a minister for guns and gangs, like how, anyways. And he's even saying, you know what, banning guns and firearms is not the answer. Here's what we need to do. And he's the guy that's now in charge. And he's a liberal, by the way, too, right? So anyways, so it's interesting. But they're not talking to the people that they should be talking to. The people who actually deal with inmates or deal with those that are, you know, using these firearms in a legal way. They should come talk to me. Come talk to me. Anyways.
You'll set them straight.
Yeah.
How about another one?
Okay.
Montreal set to press Ottawa for national handgun ban.
Yeah, because Montreal, people who live in Montreal, they are not right. Anyways, sorry.
That's for feedback to Slamfire Radio. Send it to slamfireradio@gmail.com.
Yeah, sorry.
Headline: Kelly, I'm in Montreal.
Well, I'm just saying, you know what? For those of you who are firearms owner in Montreal, I know some of you, by the way, it is an uphill battle. Even more.
Don't you have an instructor who's from Montreal?
Yeah, even more so. Two of them, even more so than the rest of Canada, because the laws in Quebec are really stupid. But they're even. Oh God, Trevor's probably going, where is this Kelly coming from? Anyways, but the laws in Quebec are quite a bit more complicated. They are their own separate entity, again, because, you know, our laws are supposed to be across the country. But in Montreal itself, the misinformation there is horrific. So I'm dealing with my own issues with that. So anyways.
Yep. Anyways, they're doing that, and Toronto was pushing for theirs. Ford was saying, let's not do it. There's a bunch of noise going on right now. All the while, gun licenses are continuing to rise. The gunblog.ca just put out a recent article that talks about the number of gun licenses that have continued to risen. Both,
by the way,
yeah.
Sorry. The government is supporting that because of the fact that if you're going to apply to become an RCMP officer, or Border Service Agency officer, or corrections, or anything like that, you now need to have your CPIC, or sorry, your PAL and your RPAL before you apply. So thank you very much to the government. Yeah, they're bumping up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for bumping up those numbers. I mean, they're going up quite a bit.
They are.
Country counted 2.169 million individuals. And that's compared with 2.11 million PAL holders at the end of December. So looks like we're gaining about 50,000 every quarter or so, which is decent. That's a decent growth. I think a lot of the old school people might not have even bothered getting their PAL. They would have just been on a farm or out in some rural area. They're like, don't need it. No one's going to check anyways. And now that we're continuing to urbanize, more people are just getting their PALs because there's higher risk, and they want to follow the law. So
yeah, and we encourage them to follow the law as well.
Yeah, exactly. So they're definitely getting more PALs out there, more R PALs and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's good to see that that continued growth. And it's like it's unstopped. It's a continuous, slow, gradual growth in gun ownership. So good to see. If you do the numbers, okay, 2 million PAL owners, more people have guns and use guns for their recreation than golf or play hockey or do any other sport. Yeah. So it's from the sporting use, it's definitely there.
Right.
Let's why don't we get on to listener feedback? We've been kind of like checking in on the YouTube feedback here. Luke Godin was mentioning that he got a SIG 1911-22, and Paul Lombard was great at giving him some instruction. Some different people were asking for some prices on some of the stuff that we're selling. Again, email us at slamfireradio@gmail.com. Let's see here. Some people talking about how you're being realistic about the life of a Maple Seed instructor.
It's pretty awesome. It's hard. You don't get to sleep, right? And it's long days, but you get to spend it with your friends, and you meet probably some of the best people in the world you meet. Like, I got to work with Carson all day. That was awesome. Like,
yeah, 60 events. You guys are meeting a ton of people, of people around the country.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, so. Probably a bunch of really great people. So, yeah, that's awesome. We've got a couple of emails into the show. This is for the listener feedback section. Listener feedback is sponsored by Highlander Tactical. Go to www.highlandertactical.com to check out the great supply of both outside and inside the waistband holsters today. I might need a Glock one. He's with retention. Glock one with retention. Let me tell you. Use promo code SLAMFIRE to check out and save 10% of your order. I want to take this first one from ES.
Okay. Yep.
Just looking at the Maple Seed score sheet posted for SFR episode 267 and using the math I was taught many years ago, the total of 243 doesn't make sense. I can fully see this. Okay, so long story short, yeah, there's a miscalculation by one. Who cares?
Yeah.
244. Let's see here. Next time Project Maple Seed is in my neighborhood, I'll donate a couple calculators.
Thanks, yes. Yeah, I think that he took an event. He went to an event as well. I wasn't on it, so but it was other people.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's his middle paragraph here. I skipped right over that one.
Kind of like my total score of 206 this past Monday. I was disappointed I missed the rifleman. Sorry, I'm taking over. I just missed rifleman of 210 plus. Yes, you have to score 210 or over. But was even more disappointed when I went through the target and I realized my true score was worse than my first two of 194 and 195. Yeah, that's disappointing. What we do is if anything is close, we'll go through it again. But also recognize if there's one or two instructors there, we're really, really busy. So we'll go through it really, really quickly. And yes, calculators. We did have calculators in our box, but somehow this went missing. So we've been using phones or in our head, our toes, So, but you know what? We'll double check. We'll try and double check those scores, especially the ones that are close as well. But don't get hung up on the score as well. I wanted to tell him because 195 and 194 are really, 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 really close. They're almost there, and it just means come back and see us and just practice. It might be the transitions. Practice the transition or practice the mag change, even just drive firing. But with I
think the prone, if you shoot the prone slow, like that, it's double points. Yep. That's the one you have to shoot as clean as possible.
Right. So if you don't get an 80 or above on that stage, you're not going to make rifleman. I do know that. So just take your time. And also, it's a mental piece. 195 means it's a mental piece. So just know that you're going to the range, right, Adriel? You're going to the range with your friends, right? Having fun and a long, long day, but you're just going to go shoot. So get over that mental piece, and then you're in Lake Flynn.
For me, the thing that motivates me is don't drop. This is just me. This might just be me.
Okay.
Don't drop any points.
That's
Make them
okay.
all perfect. Because I
So-
get lazy, right? Like with
Right.
3-gun, I get super lazy. I look at the target, it's like it's close enough, boom, and the trigger gets pressed. I don't even think about it, right?
Right.
Whereas with Maple Seed, it was like, no, I got to think about this. Is this the perfect sight picture? Do I
Right.
have it on target? Am I ready to pull it? So, and that's like super different than a lot of the 3-gun or even IPSC. In IPSC,
Right.
you're shooting for A zone. You like getting bullets touching in the A zone means you were going too slow. So,
Right.
but in Maple Seed, it's like, no, there's no such thing. They need to be great shots, right?
Right.
The whole thing is marksmanship.
But the other thing with respect to being in your head, right, is if maybe like for you, making sure it's the perfect shot every time, right? But so maybe it's not the perfect shot the last one. So you're still thinking about the last one instead of thinking about the one that's coming up, right? The one that you're actually should be concentrating on there. Some
That
people do
used to
that.
bother me. I used to dwell on things, but these days I don't. I'm like, if it's like a crap shot, it's like, meh. Next
Yeah.
one will be great. So
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me too much. But that's something I've had to like
Yeah.
work on in my work life and personal life, is like not worrying about stuff, right?
Yeah, and you're
And yeah,
really
that
good at it.
NPOA is excellent as well. Like actually moving your body, so it's like now you're comfortable. Now you're ready to make that
Right.
shot, right?
And that's the one thing. So we do those exercises, those NPOA exercises. By the way, NPOA is natural point of aim. You pick up your body and you actually move it. What we ask you to do is
Yeah, if like moving, like you can't
Right.
just move the rifle, you have
Right.
to move your
Move your
body,
body.
and then the rifle will be like naturally like super relaxed and aimed at it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just explaining it my own way.
No, that's what you should be doing because you were able to do it. You got it right. So, but what we do see is I watch people's butts. Yes, I do. But they're not moving. So I keep saying, move your butt.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't tell me that on the range. Angel, your butt's not moving enough.
Yeah, I've been told by HR that
You're
I have
weird.
to stop using that phrase. Yeah. I'm watching your
Uh.
butts. They're not moving.
Oh boy. Why don't you do this next one from Justin?
Okay, so from Justin, I was wondering what accessories the host that plans on putting on a 180C. Oh, okay. I know Trevor is pretty against it and pro SLR. Yeah, sure. But I'm wondering what Adriel and maybe the others are planning on doing. So,
So if you weren't on Instagram or
or
basically
Facebook.
any social media that Trevor has access to, and he could brag that he got his 180 before I did,
Yeah,
right from Matt Hipwell from Wolverine.
Wolverine.
He got it right from the source, right from the boss, man. Yeah, so he has one of those too now.
Right.
I'm not sure what he's putting on his. I've got a Vortex 1-4 I'm going to be putting on mine. I have an RRA 2-stage national match, and I'm going to shoot some coyotes with mine. And if it's accurate enough, I might shoot 3-gun with it, because I don't mind the idea of ripping on the charging handle instead of hitting a bolt release. It's not really any slower. It might actually be faster because you catch it easier than trying to hit that tiny little paddle. And it's piston, so it won't be as dirty. Like I clean my AR. I don't need to, but I clean it every time after the range. And a lot of the time that it's like really crusted up with carbon on the bolt and inside the BCG, and that's because it's that DI action, right, rather than a piston action. So yeah, maybe. And it's super light. I love the foreign they put on it. I have the Troy Alpha on my AR, and it's great, but this is like the older generation of handguards. Is not as slim as some of the other ones, and the WK180C is quite a bit slimmer than this one, so which is interesting. Did I show this trigger? Did I show this new trigger I got?
No, that's the new Timney trigger, isn't it?
This is the Timney Calvin Elite. Oh man,
it's pretty.
Kyle, one of the 3-gun guys from Grand Prairie, he runs Lunatic Tactical, and I was having trigger problems at the 3-gun match in BC, and he's like, "I got this Timney trigger for sale," and he had it for sale for a pretty good price.
Okay, I was gonna say,
and I was like, I don't know, I don't think so. And then he came out to the Edmonton event. He's like, this trigger, did you want to review it? And then if you want to keep it, just pay for it. And if you don't, just send it back. And I'm like, oh, you got me.
Yeah, because you know what?
Yeah.
If you review it, you're never giving it back, right? Yeah.
Well, now it's installed in the
Yeah.
rifle, and it's so good. Oh my god! So this is a 1.5 pound trigger. Take a look at this. Just it's single stage as well, so there's no
Yep.
take up with it, right? Okay, there's the trigger pull, and
Yeah.
here, let's see the
Where's the
reset here.
reset?
Yeah. So there's a reset, and then there's a trigger pull. It's so light. One of the things with 3-gun, like I was mentioning before, we have cardboard targets. You double tap them. You
Right.
double tap them. You don't do a controlled pair in IPSC where you want those two alphas. You go, bah, 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 and you just like you crank those shots out on it. And this trigger is going to do that. It's so light. It's going to be so easy to dance on that thing and get those 2 shots out. I'm not putting that on the WK though. I'm putting 2-stage on it because shooting coyotes will have time to do the take up and take a really nice clean shot. It's still a light trigger. What else would I want to put on that thing? Maybe a sling. I'll probably put a couple of QD mounts on it so I can really easily put a 2-point sling. I really like to sling my my rifle across the chest like this. Sorry for the podcast listeners. I am aiming it down and to my left across my chest. And the whole idea with this is it's very comfortable to carry. Not quite as on the back, but comfortable enough. And it very easily comes up into the shoulder because it's sitting right there. I have to move it because there's a table in front of me, but otherwise you just pop it up and away you go, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think I'm really going to need to replace anything. The barrel, I've seen some groups from some people who I respect at shooting who are getting around 1.5 inches. Good enough. Good enough. Yeah, that'll do it. So that's all I'm planning for accessories. Maybe a grip. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see. I don't really care about that stuff. I care about like the accuracy and the optics on it. And I've got a great optic that I picked up from actually Tyler from a different podcast. Yep.
So you got that at a good deal too, right?
Yes, I did, and that's a great optic. I love that Vortex Viper optic.
All right.
Let's see here from Edmund. Whoa, awesome shooting there, Adriel. That's one heck of a score. I don't know if I'm starting to get senile in my middle age, but it looks like you shorted yourself. I calculate 244 on your last target.
Yeah, all right.
I'm surprised we have so many
hard
listeners who looked at it and are like, that like I'm gonna calculate this and like pointed it out.
And by the way, you guys weren't the first. We had somebody else look at it and they're going, and then we're going, yeah, that's not correct. But anyways.
And I totally don't care. Anything over a 237 I would have taken. A 238 and I would have been like happy. No, it's fine. You guys got to score. How many targets you guys got to score? 60 targets?
Yeah. So
geez,
we generally do. So if there's 15 participants, right, and we're doing 3 MQTs a piece, right? Yeah. So no. Yeah. So
45 to 60,
45,
depending on how many
we do.
Yeah. A couple of questions for Kelly. Does Maple Seed or Appleseed can count V-Bulls in the scores? It would come in handy for tie breaking. Say if a very competitive Slamfire radio host were to put a lot of effort into tying Adriel's score, V-Bulls could be used to determine who's still Slamfire, Maple Seed, King, or Queen. Are there more classifications other than Rifleman? A score like Adriel's should make him a rifle master. Thanks, guys and gal, for another great episode. I'll have to find some time to take part in a Maple Seed. Edmund.
Yeah, Edmund, we'd love to see you. So V-Bulls do count. The same, they're just like other competitions, right? It's the same point value. However, yes, so if we have 2 people who scored the same amount, whether it's like let's say they scored a 210 and this guy over here has 3 V-Bulls and this guy has 2, well, he's going to have the higher. But really, you're competing with yourself. Now, if we had...
It's not a head-to-head. That's the thing,
no,
right? Even though there are V-Bulls on there, I don't think that's like no. That's just a nice to know that they've got V-Bulls. Really, you're looking at the scoring ring and whether you've got the hits in there or not, right?
Right. However, he did say if there's another Slamfire host who's very competitive, we don't know anybody like that. But if he did decide that he wanted to actually challenge Adriel's, and I'm saying he did want to try and challenge Adriel's score, then absolutely, right? But is he going to do it with both? right? A bolt action, an Orenco. I don't think so.
Just saying, he'd have to do it with that.
So
or
I
with
think,
WK 180.
yeah,
I'd accept that as well.
yeah. Anyways. But and he said, is there other classifications for riflemen? No, there's not. However, we have been discussing a 240 club, so Adrian will be part of that. And with that, I don't know. We have to come up with something. We were thinking about maybe a different patch, like the gold patch. That would be awesome. I don't know.
Gold, solid gold.
Right. Or
Well,
bolt.
if you
I
see
don't
an error in our in something that we posted in one of the pictures, send this show an email at slamfireradio@gmail.com.
I'm sure
Did you want to take this? Did you want to take this iTunes review?
Sure, but I am sure that if they did notice it, they would send us email because that's what our listeners do. Awesome.
I'm pretty sure this listener, you guys saw in Lethbridge. I'm pretty sure I know who this is.
Okay, great, because I didn't see him because I'm sitting right here. Lethbridge is Rick and Kevin were in there, and Mario. Yeah. Oh, by the way, did you see the picture of Kevin, Mario, and sorry, listeners, Kevin, Mario, and Rick so they were staying at Yolanda's place, and they take Trevor in it. So, anyways, all right, iTunes reviews. This is from Scott N. Hi, Scott, and it's a 5-star review, and the title is Great Show. He says, best podcast I've ever had the privilege of listening to. Well, thank you, Podcart.
We are the best podcast.
Yeah, we are.
And podcast, the #1 podcast in Canada.
Yes,
according to our numbers.
Because we have metrics.
We have metrics and numbers.
Yes.
Do you have any shout outs, Kelly?
I have a ton. Do you have any? Because I'll go.
No, go. Okay.
All right. So here's who we have. I wanted to say thank you to Tango Griff, Ryan, B Temps. We got Mike Schmidt, and we also have Chris Walls and Greg May. Those were some of our IITs that helped us out on our trip out west. We have Sean Selly. Sean actually wrote an email into the show about his Maple Seed experience as well. He's a CCFR field officer. He is somebody who works with some of the best shooters in Canada, and he is an awesome guy. I just wanted to say that I was very happy to meet you. Jason Phelps and family, I just wanted to say thanks for coming out. Jason, thanks for bringing your girls. They were amazing. Nolan and Anika. I keep saying Annika, but it's not. It's Anika. I just wanted to say thank you to Nolan for helping set us up at BTSA. And also, Anika, I loved meeting you. You're awesome. Adriel and your wife, Amy, thanks for putting us up and also putting up with us because I know that it was difficult.
No, it's not. You guys are super respectful hosts or guests. Yeah.
Well, thanks. Andy Blundell, I wanted to say thank you to you, Chris Kemble, Craig Norman, Bill Ennis, and his son. He brought his son Sean. Colin Holland. Those were some of the listeners that we have that were at the events. Tony and Aaron T. Tony is somebody who actually is looking at submitting Slamfire Radio logo contest. We forgot to talk about that. He's going to be submitting for that. He came out to the pub night with us as well as Aaron, his wife. Aaron is a brand new shooter, and she did freaking amazing. I think she actually ended up with a 150 by the end of the day, and she rocked it. It was awesome. Brian Rantz, Ryan Schellberg, his son Kobe, he brought him out. They're from Wolverine, by the way. James Hogue. Now, James is one of our, he's a great guy, by the way, and he's a listener. So at 6:30, was it 6:30 or 7 in the morning in Winnipeg? Remember, we had an hour and a half of sleep, and we hear Trevor's voice blaring, right? James was listening to the podcast as he was driving into the Maple Seed. So we got to listen to Trevor at 6:30 in the morning. Anyways,
so. That must have been a little bit odd.
Yeah,
I thought we left him behind.
Yeah, and James came out with his wife as well to the the pub night as well. So he got to meet Trevor too. So it was pretty awesome. Adrian and Kelly Robertson, I just wanted to say thank you for helping us out at Winnipeg, and also Brendan, our RSO connection for the Winnipeg Rage. He was freaking amazing. I gave him a shirt too because of the fact that he was so amazing. So maybe he's tuning in to listen to. So those are some of the people that I met that are listeners. I don't think that I got everybody, but if I missed you, I apologize. So I just wanted to say hello to everybody, give you shout outs.
You can only remember so much after 40 hours of driving.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right. What about you?
All the guys that helped set up and take down for Chaz 3 Gun, all the new shooters that came out. Thank you for coming out. It was really interesting. I'm actually talking with some of the other match directors of 3 Gun across the country, and I think we've got a pretty good club because we have a ton of people who help set up and take down every day when we do our shoots. We don't pay ROs or anything like that. We just rely on volunteers, and we're spoiled for the amount of help that we get.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Chaz was the only range where everybody stayed and helped tear down the range. So I think that your range is incredible. And it was everybody. It was a weird shoot because of the fact that it didn't go public, because everybody who got the link, we send it to the clubs prior to, right? And say if any of your members want to sign up, then we'll release it to the public. So your members all signed up for it, and everybody knew each other, and everybody was teasing each other, and it was a really fun shoot. Everybody was laughing, and it was fun. So, and then again, everybody stayed at the end and helped tear down. So that was pretty awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. No, it was our pleasure to have you guys out. It was
it was fun.
Yeah, really great to get you guys out and have an event like that at the range. I think it's so interesting, getting more of those kinds of events out. It really broadens the horizons for the membership. I think we definitely have a huge demand in the Edmonton area and probably Calgary for this kind of thing. And I really want to make it a priority to get more Albertan instructors going for Maple Seed, because just because there's such a demand out here. We've got the population, right? We've got 1 million people in Edmonton, and 1 million plus in Calgary, and there's enough people to make for a lot of maple seeds out here, and fill that gap of providing marksmanship out in Alberta. So super interesting to see what will happen there.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Patreon. Yes, we have that Patreon thing. So if you sign up for our Patreon, you will see that we provide some interesting things for you. There are some Patreon only episodes that they can get access to. And as well, we also, for people who sign up, we'll send you a patch and a sticker in the mail. And if you have been there long enough, we might send you a t-shirt or deliver it in person. That's more likely at this point. But I promise I have some boxes that I need to send out, and I will send them out. I just have a lot of other things that kind of get in the way sometimes.
Yep.
In terms of Patreon, Mr. Dave W. is one of our newest Patreons. And they have chosen to donate $5.56 every month. So $5.56 every month. So again, we use that money for flying us around the country and helping out the hosts with audio equipment and that kind of thing.
Right.
So
actually, just Dave. Dave was already a Patreon. He just switched a bunch of stuff. So he just he upped the ante basically. So it shows as a new one, but he's
up
not.
the ante to a new level. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah. If you want to support the show, go over to patreon.com/slamfireradio or go to slamfireradio.com. We got a button on the left or something like that. It's very easy to find. Finally, please join one or more of our national firearms associations, such as the CCFR. Check us out on Gun Owners of Canada. Like us on Facebook. We're at 1,961. We're getting close to the magic 2,000.
Woohoo!
Fancy.
Should
and
we have a moment when we get to 2,000?
Yeah, especially if we beat like some sort of local library, that would be excellent as well. Yeah. That would, I don't know if we're competing with any libraries right now. There's probably some libraries that just like have us down cold.
Well,
But I would
the-
like to beat some sort of local library at some point at that 2,000 mark. That would
Okay.
be a mark of excellence for us. Finally, good night, everyone.